The FG116 is an emulation of the 1176 hardware compressor, and one of the main characteristics that this compressor is known for is its really fast attack and release time constants, and this emulates it nicely, and it's used a lot in modern drum mixes to get that kind of over-compressed, squashed sound when it's used to the extreme. And because of the fast attack and release, it's got a sort of unique personality to it, and this emulates it nicely. Now, it's useful for more traditional compression uses as well, but that's one of the characteristics of it that's used in popular production styles. It's got an input control to adjust the amount of level going into the compressor. There's no independent threshold control like we're used to seeing on many compressors, and the output controls the output stage of the overall plugin. The ratio setting, meaning how much compression is applied, is adjusted with these 4 ratio buttons. And we have attack and release knobs. Another defining characteristic of this GUI in this interface is that, unlike what we're used to seeing with other compressors, when the knob is dialed all the way to the left, that's the slowest value, and when it's dialed to the right, that's the fastest value, so sort of opposite of what we're used to seeing. And a nice extra touch here is that it's got a mix knob, so you can use it for parallel compression all directly from within the plugin without having to set up a separate bus or separate send. And it's got a noise reduction algorithm. Now, a couple of hidden features here that I really like. I wish more compressors had this. When you're attenuating or boosting the input, if you hold the shift key, it's going to control the output at the same time, and it's going to maintain an internal unity gain so that you're not getting distracted by hearing differences in volume when you dial up the input or the output, and you're just going to be focusing on the compression that's happening. You can, of course, adjust both independently, but holding the shift key will, as I say, maintain an internal unity gain, which is very effective in determining what the compressor is doing exactly. Another nice feature is you can shift-click the attack knob, and it basically bypasses the compression, and it allows you to sort of run the signal through here and go through the gain staging and the transformer staging of the emulation, so you can get a kind of saturated signal. And you can also use the mix knob to dial in just some of that overdriven saturated sound if you want. Shift-clicking again will take it off. Let's try this out on the drum bus so we can really hear the characteristics of the attack and release control. I'll start by going to the default setting, and I'll dial this up holding the shift key down so we can hear the compressor in action. So that's a very compressed sound, obviously. Let's dial up the output so we can hear it a little more clearly. And I'm going to go for some extreme settings so we can really hear the characteristics of these controls. Now, that's not a very nice sound, but let's explore the attack and release. So right now, we have the attack at the slowest value and the release is at the fastest. Now, I'm going to make the release slow so it's staying compressed longer, and let's explore the attack characteristics. Now, listen to the kick drum, and you're going to hear, at the slowest value, you're going to hear a nice attack on the kick, and as I dial it clockwise and it becomes faster, it's going to truncate the kick a little bit. So you can really hear the attack characteristics there. I like a slow attack for this type of drum sound because I want the transients to get through and hear the attack of the sound. And let's explore the release. So the quicker the release is, the more it's got that pumping kind of quality to it. We hear the sustain of the bass drum coming through. And with the slower release, of course, it's staying compressed so we don't hear that sustain of the bass drum. So very powerful kind of controls here with a lot of personality. Now let's dial in some input and output so that we're overdriving the signal and getting some saturation. So we're really hearing the compression there. I'm going to shift-click the attack button and we'll be able to bypass the compression and just hear the saturation. So we got some nasty saturation happening there, but it might be nice blended in with the mix knob. Personally not my cup of tea, but you might like that kind of slightly hairy sound and you can dial it in that way. So let's go with something a little more realistic, and then we'll move on to another instrument. So that sounds pretty nice. I'll just mix it into taste now. So that really tightens up the sound nicely. Here's a lead guitar sound, and I'm going to play it for you with no processing right now. Now I want to use the compressor to really tighten up the attack and get kind of a bit of sustain happening, and then just dial in some of it with the mix knob. So here I'm really grabbing the notes aggressively, but blended in, it should add some sustain to the sound and just give it a tighter kind of feel. I love that. It's subtle, but it's just sort of tightening up the sound. And let's listen to that in context. It just helps it sit nicely in the mix and not too much on top. I find it really effective. So that's a little overview of the FG116. I'll see you for more in the next video.